Yes, nze Kaye Wisdom mutano w'omulaalo tweyongedde okulumya Museveni mweno video part 2. Tuli mu Birmingham Palace nga tulumya Museveni. We wano Birmingham Palace munansonyiwa ku bantu abaliwo because tetwagala basumbuwa. Kansubire nti mmwe abali ku live eno mumpulira bulungi. Tugenda batekinga around London City naye tutandikidde wano we wano twalabanga ku TV gate banange eno si yakitupulya abamu batusekerera nti netuzze Nansana London College, but of course here we are tuli ku Birmingham Palace mu UK England oba byonna kyokiyita. Ngenda kwetolozaako ko mu bantu bano nkulage nga wekiba mukwano kamera maani oba woman nedda kwata nga weetolo tofaayo ojja kukwata very good gwe ngoberera mpola n'otongoberera naye ekiri okibalaga n'otosingira n'otovaawo naye gweokibalaga bakiraba waggulu. Very wonderful, very good. Beetoloozeeko balabe basobola okugamba nti no tuli gwe beetolooze balabe bwe batinga ogenda okumalayo bwoti nga weetolooza. Ojja kuyiga bulungi kamera. Oyo Munnayuganda naye tulina mugamba mu Luganda wadde Luganda yali werabira kayeetolooze mpola mpola nga mulaba. Tutandikidde wano mu part 2 eya video eno nga nkugambye nga tuli ku kaweefube operation kulumya Museveni naye akitegeere. Tuli ku Birmingham Palace tugenda kutwala throughout London City. Omwami agenda kuba ayogera Luzungu ebisigadde munansonyiwa ng'abannyonnyola simanyi eno bridge yawa simanyi eno bagiyita batya ebisinga mugenda kuba nga mubiraba naye nze Kaye Wisdom nate njagala okwebaza mikwano gyange abatusaamu ssente ba Hanks Media bulijjo mbagamba mmwe n'abaagala obulango obwa TV radio oba oyagala billboard oba oyagala kampuni ogiranga digitally. Hanks Media is your company to have. Oba oyina mukolo gwonna mwabateeka emikolo abali e Bulaaya oba abali e Uganda ng'oyagala ba ushers oyagala baani genda ofune ba Hanks Media. Hanks Media oba beetaaga just contact me ku namba yange 0704494339. Aba Climax bulijjo bagamba nti Climax ye Las Vegas yaffe eri esangibwa mu Makindye kuva ku Monday paka Monday ku Lwokubiri live band ku Lwokutaano abakyala swimming pool ya bwere steam bitya emmere yonna oba family yonna jam Climax is a place to be kyonna kyoba weetaaze. Kiriwo ekirala aba Kayleys guno omwezi oba oyagala kusala lubuto lwo oba mugejjo ojja fiira mu gym bulijjo mbagamba n'otandika ebyuma wositula mb'osala lubuto no just kajaniko ka Kayleys ate balese capsules empya ze bayita appetite chaser capsules zo ziba zikola kintu kimu kyokka nti omira abumizi bw'omira zikujjako appetite n'oba ng'oli akantu katono nnyo. Aba Kayleys limuti kye baleese just to delivering amajaani world over celebrating mwaka era guno omwezi package ebadde egula $15,000 mu Uganda egenda kubanga egula $10,000 kasi omwezi gw'omusanvu gugwako nga tuddeyo ku prices zaffe. Tetuyina dduuka tetutambuza majaani tudelivalinga budelivalinzi era bakasitoma baffe batujulira gwe lya bintu byo lya nkoko yo oba nnyama yo najjo oyagala osigale ng'okozesa product za Kayleys Slim Tea we deliver era teri complaininga. Muno watch bulijjo mbagamba aba muno watch genda ku simu yo downloadinga teka muno MUNO watch muno watch olabe firimu zonna ez'Abannayuganda enjogerere okuva ku Mark Jingo Junior bonna baani. Muno watch bw'ogenda mu Play Store downloadinga muno watch juzaamu nga bebagamba teeka mu password gy'oyagala osobola n'oteekamu nti Birmingham. Muno watch gyejjukira otandika okulaba movies zoyagala bwe bikulema ng'onkubira ku ssimu nga bulijjo munkubira nemba wa Ntambi nemba customer care ne bayambako n'oba Bulaaya bw'onkubira no nga binnemye nga baconnecting osasula $3,000 ng'olaba firimu n'olaba $1,000 yes kale ate njagala okutunula ku Musumba Success yaleese ekipya oba ne million 3 oba 6 baddira million zo 6 ne bakufuna eka y'ettaka ku million 6 ne bakusimbirako emiti between 10 ku 2 ate ne bajabira omwaka mulamba ne bamala ne bakuwa ettaka lyo bakuliko emiti. Musumba Success nkutumiddeko nnyo mwalaba bampaako eka y'ettaka era ndi kumpi kugenda kulambula miti gyange bo beewaayo nti buli wentambula bwe nti buli lugendo baba bampagira so mwenna Bannayuganda bali eyo naddala abaana bali e Dubai Abannayuganda bali mu America temwekwasa genda olime kalituusi Musumba success waali abaddewo emyaka taddukanga kyaki eri awo Kasangati. Yes, nate ngenda batwala nga we mbagambye nti tugenda kulambula London ebintu ebimu. Just njagala olabe video eno nga wegenda okutambula ebitundu ebimu bridges nawe ogambe nti wendiba nze London wano wengenda okuyita. Of course abantu abamu bali abasobola kuba nga badde wano e Bungereza naye nga tatwalanga na budde bugamba nti kangendeko ku bridge bweziti kanambuleko ku kibuga London. Naye kakati ffe nga Kaye Wisdom kye tukola era mbasaba nti bulijjo mu abanda bagenda ku YouTube channel ya Kaye Wisdom Official. Tekamu nti Kaye Wisdom Official, subscribe, nyiga akadde bunaku tuteekangayo video okuyigiriza twogera politics, entertainment na buli kimu. Bakubali bayunge, bakubali abajja wali ne basama obwasami, bakwaba abalumba Wisdom Kaye. Bw'okimanyi omuntu Judith babiri yagamba nti nno omuntu omuti oguliko ebibala gwe bakuba. So yena ino omuntu golaba yalumbye Wisdom abaliko ekikyamu ku bwongo. We are here in London and we are still going very far. Next stop egenda kuba tuli ku Eiffel Tower e Paris nga tujikulaga na byonna nga tugezaako kusanyusa ate tumale tukomeo ku frontline nga tukulaga Uganda gyegenda. Yeah, operation Kulumya Museveni bibino bye bimuluma myaka 4 ali awo ye wajjange eno tatulaga bino kubanga era tasola bikola. Ffe katubibalage tubibaleetere mu Uganda empya kasa tuyingira mu bukulembeze tugenda baleetere ebintu nga bino e Uganda nga wetolora ku Parliament, wetolora ku State House nga tewali na nfuufu naye kati gendeyo kati ojja kulabanga n'ente zaapamye wali. So Uganda empya, New Uganda is coming anytime from now. Kiriza Mukama, bwoba Katonda tomukkiriza kale kkiriza Wisdom. Oyo Katonda yalese Wisdom wane e UK nga abamu baali basama tisobola kujjawo, ye Katonda agenda okukolera ebyamagero. Nze Kaye Wisdom nzikiriza Mukama era ngamba Yesu ye Mukama. Let me take you throughout. Bakubali abasinza Mukama nga ate bajjudde irizi mu biwato, bajjudde simanya bitya. No problem. So let me take you throughout London to London tour part 2 operation Kulumya Museveni. Lwaki nedda paka wali kolaki wali kyekyo kyokka kye mbagambye.
3, 2, coming down the last second now, yeah? Some of you would not get the ball, let alone hit over the fence. There you are, you can see that beautiful eye and the clock tower. Yeah, that's a smash, isn't it? Absolute smash, yeah?
Yeah.
There behind it, you've got a huge Victoria Tower. That's where the Acts of Parliament
tutandise
that's where the
okulambula London.
To your left and right,
Leero
you have the South Bank Arts Complex, the largest cultural arts complex in Western Europe. Over to your right, you have that beautiful view of the dome of St. Paul's Cathedral. Beautiful cathedral over to your right-hand side. We'll be stopping there later. Over to your left-hand side is the city of Westminster. Minster or monastery in the west. You've got a beautiful clock tower, commonly referred to as Big Ben. The official name of the clock tower is the Elizabeth Tower, but most people call it Big Ben. Behind it, you have
a Big Ben Tower, Queen Elizabeth Tower.
On the left-hand side is the Golden Jubilee Bridge. You look carefully just to your left, you're passing Cleopatra's Needle, guarded by the 2 sphinxes, dating back to 1475 BC. The second building on your left is the world-famous Savoy Hotel. On your right, you are passing the delightful Somerset House, home to the Courtaulds, the Gilbert, and the Hermitage Art Galleries. Is anyone for stop 2, which is the interchange point, I think for the rentals it shows on your map. It's also for those of you going into Covent Garden, having some lunch, maybe you're off to the theatre, maybe you're going to the museum. Most attractions are closed as we're speaking.
Tutandise part 2 ya video Lumya Museveni. Lumya Museveni nga ngenda batwala ku tour ya London ekibuga kyonna. Of course tulabye Tower ya Ben, tulabye bridge esinga obukadde muno. Ngenda gezaako bivunula mu Luganda naye temufaayo. Ngenda batwala mpola mpola. Lambula nange Bungereza. Kaye Wisdom, subscribe Kaye Wisdom Official.
course, when we think of music, we think of the coronation music as well. Some very famous music which you may have heard earlier this year. For the coronation, we're going to see where the coronation took place later. Some of you may be lucky enough to be going into Buckingham Palace as well. It is open. It's been open since Friday. You have to be quite quick to get those tickets. It's like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Fastest finger first. Yeah. If you're too slow, you won't get in. Particularly the first week. After the first week, it's much easier, but everyone wants to go back, yeah? It's so proper. And more so this year, because everyone wants to see the coronation robes, which Charles and Camilla wore, yeah? So even more people want to go than normal.
Ogenda kutambula nange throughout to Birmingham Palace. Nga banyonyedde mu luzungu nammwe mujja kunyambako. Mpola mpola.
Yeah, so museum off to your left, about a 10-15 minute walk. Even if the attraction is free, it's best to book in advance, because sometimes the free ones, particularly the free ones, will say, have you booked?
Waliwo tuyise ye museum esinga obukadde mu nsi yonna.
And haven't been back since, so it's been over a year. I will go back at some point this decade. Some attractions are very busy. This afternoon I tried to check into the church
London
here
School
myself. I had
of
2 hours
Economics
spare.
and Political Science.
On your
Political
right,
Science.
you have the Australian High Commission. That's where Harry Potter was filmed. Gringotts Bank and Harry Potter. You're using your maps.
Kino ekizimbe Harry Potter we baagikwatira bakiyita Australian House. Australian House fe Uganda House twagala gitunda. Harry Potter baagikwatira awo.
Military figures behind of Bomber Harris and Downing.
Wow, ya Australian House Harry Potter baagikwatira.
Caused by the Blitz, just on your right. See the marks of the church? The next stop's not for another 5 minutes, just to let you know. The statue on your right of Samuel Johnson, who compiled the dictionary. Twinings on your right, a famous tea store dating back to the early period of the 1700s. To your left, the Royal Court of Justice, the second highest civil court in the land. Something like you see in Harry Potter. Almost looks like a school, but it isn't in Harry Potter.
Wow.
Just ahead of us is the monument. As soon as we pass the monument, we've entered into the city. Notice the statue to your right. That is of Edward VII. Edward VII was the monarch in the early 1900s. Look to the right and left. To the right, this flat building. Underneath it, the archway into the Knights Templar Church, featured in the movie Da Vinci Code. Yeah? You may remember seeing that building in Da Vinci Code. It's a long time ago now, Da Vinci Code. Yeah? Off to your left, you've got a very unusual clock face as well, because of Gag and Magog. We're on Fleet Street now. Fleet Street, for a period of 500 years, where our newspapers were printed.
Fleet Street. Emyaka 5 emabega wano bakubiranga empapula z'amawulire era bagita Fleet Street. Kansubire nti nkyogera bulungi nnyo wano wetu.
Dickens, Yates and Keats. So just off to your immediate left. Can you see that lovely pub? The Cheshire Cheese. To your immediate left-hand side. Beautiful pub. There's been a pub on that site since the 1400s. This one dates back to the 1600s. 1400
yiyo pub abasajja bakuuma 1400 yino pub yiyo ekizimbe kikyo oba bakizimbamu kirimu biki 1400.
If you look through the gap and look up, you'll see the origins of the Wedding Cake Church. Through the gap, just off to the right and up. Look all the way up. That's where the design for the wedding cake comes from.
Hey, where? Oh, the wedding cake. It's amazing. the wedding cake wagidesigning wali eri ku church eri gy'olabye waso kugidesigningira keki ate zaabeerangako ku mbaga keki tezaabeerangako ku mbaga kati eri church gye tuyiseeko nammwe munanyambangako bwe waava wedding cake ne zibuna ensi yonna annange. Aha.
Do you see that golden ball?
The golden ball?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
The small one, the small one. Wait till you see it.
I know, man.
We are going up what's called Ludgate Hill. Our next stop is by St. Paul's, on our highest point in the square mile. To the right of St. Paul's, you have the footbridge leading over to the Tate and to the Globe. So,
St. Paul. London yeyo mmwe n'abakatoliki.
Down the second side, turning to the left, that takes you to the Old Bailey, the Central Criminal Court of Justice. Down the side, turning.
Do you see that? Do you see that golden ball?
Yes, I'm seeing it. And it's on the church, St. Paul.
This is the best day ever, everybody.
Yes. Iyo church kooti enkadde gye bakulaze. The best word?
The best day ever.
St. Paul's Cathedral.
It's a bit late for St. Paul's unless you're going in to pray, yeah? Very popular with Americans because you have McDonald's on your right.
Oh.
You think I'm kidding you?
Where?
I had an American family stayed at a luxury 5-star hotel in Mayfair. They were over the moon as they soon saw McDonald's. It was really the lady. Yeah, she was, I don't know, 70, 80, but she wanted her cheeseburgers. They already had a pub lunch, but she was more eager for McDonald's. You know, people like creature comfort.
Yeah, it's
McDonald's
funny.
just on your right.
Okay.
Visit Long Face St. Paul's, the pineapples at the top, statue outside Queen Anne. Look away from the cathedral. To the left of St. Paul's that takes you to the Stock Exchange. Have a look to your sharp left. Got a beautiful archway that's called Temple Arch leading into the Stock Exchange.
Okay.
Got a beautiful building with a curved rooftop, the walkie-talkie building, home to the Sky Gardens, Sky Bar. To your right of the light, you got a Millennium Bridge leading you over to the Tate and to the Globe.
Millennium what?
That beautiful water fountain just off to the right as well. That bridge off to the right destroyed in Harry Potter by the Death Eaters, but no one's interested in that silly stuff.
I see a man.
No more to look at. Where's the bridge? Millennium Bridge, yeah.
People queue up for their photo at King's Cross.
Omanyi bamugenda nemugamba nti firimu za bulimba muwulidde kyabagamba statue baali bazannya firimu ya Harry Potter oza baagikubiramu naye ne bagizaawo.
9 o'clock. The way to get around it, I was told by the securities, you have to get there before 9 o'clock, yeah? I don't know what difference 9 o'clock makes, but it makes some difference, yeah? Probably people in hotels having breakfast and so forth. Yeah, it would be better monument for Heath.
This is a brewery table, so. That one's brewery.
Yeah, tuli London part 2 ya filmu yaffe twasose ku London Eye kakati batwala South London ali interesting nawe olabe mpola mpola mugamba nti Uganda esinga Bulaaya nawe comparinga oba Uganda esinga Bulaaya oba oli ku mboozi z'amalwa eza NRM. So tutambula mpola mpola, abasajja bakuumye ebintu byabwe. Sajja akugamba ekyo ekizimbe bakisimba mu 1200 n'owakana naye nga kyekyo. Okay, there we go.
Left-hand side, above the door of Bracken House, a bit of a sundial, the face of Churchill. Watch your head, Philip. Yeah, it's low. No branches. Churchill is there because his funeral took place at St. Paul's. 1965. So a long time ago. Often and left after the lights is Bow Lane. If you're a true Londoner, you're born within a sound of both bells. You notice it says 24/7. It's not open today, yeah? Because it's a weekend. 24/7/5, yeah? This area is not a 24/7/7, yeah? 24/7/5 in the city of London. Because there's no business on a weekend. If people don't live here, this is only people staying in hotels. And there's not many hotels in this area. There's a Premier Inn just ahead of us. There's a Ned nearby, but not many hotels around here. So that's why very few places are open, apart from pubs. In fact, what places are open here that they used to be? You don't even have the local supermarket open just off to your left. That's Waitrose. That doesn't open on Sundays. I don't think it opens on Saturdays either, because there's no business. This is the financial square mile, Monday to Friday. Yeah, 500,000 people work. When I come back here tomorrow, when I take a short break, grab a coffee, I pop into Waitrose, and it will be not busy, but there will be people going in there. Yeah, at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning. Down to your left, by the way, there's Starbucks coffee shop. Behind it is the Church of St. Stephen Walbrook. It was a prototype for St. Paul's Cathedral. We've got one of our big mainline stations to the right, Cannon Street Station. The window is bricked in on your right. That's because of a window tax abolished in the mid-1800s.
1800. I bano tebalimba.
For those of you on Liverpool Street, you see where that double-decker bus has just gone? Not first left, second left, yeah? That takes you up what's called Gracechurch Street. You pass Leadenhall Market, featuring Harry Potter. No one's interested in that silly stuff, yeah? Not yet, not yet. So you need to take the turning to your left after the underground, yeah? That takes you past Leadenhall Market. Yeah? So sharp left. Don't all of you go off for the Leadenhall Market. That's where the 26 bus is going. That's the exact direction you need to be going for Liverpool Street. The monument to your left, our stop is just ahead. Monument to remember the Great Fire of 1666. You walk all the way up to the top, 311 steps to the top. So this is our Harry Potter stop, Liverpool Street Station stop as well. Liverpool and Liverpool Street are two different places, just to make sure it's clear. Thank you. No, people sometimes think they're the same place. That's where people think the Beatles were from. Liverpool Street, not Liverpool. This is quite common. Yeah, very common.
Liverpool Street.
It's like we in London, we have Abbey Road and Abbey Road Station. People turn up at Abbey Road Station thinking it's Abbey Road for the Beatles. It's about 20 miles in the opposite direction.
Wow.
This is stop 5. We are crossing over London Bridge. To your left, you've got a beautiful view of Tower Bridge.
London Bridge.
Naval Museum.
Tower Bridge here,
Fought in the Second World War and the Korean War. And look at that lovely cruise liner just off to your left. Sometimes tourists mistake that one for the one which is included in some of your tickets. Depends what type of ticket you have.
To London Bridge.
I've heard stories of people going 25 miles to sea. You could not make it up. On the north side, home to the Crown Jewels. Beyond Tower Bridge, Canary Wharf, the Tower of London was a castle where monarchs lived as well. From the 1000s all the way up to the 1600s. To your left and right, you have the dragons marking the end of the city of London. beginning of the oldest borough of London called Southwark, which means the work to the south. Behind the pub, on your right, where the pub is, on your right, you have the cathedral where Shakespeare worshipped. Yeah, some of you may be into the likes of Shakespeare. The Globe Theatre.
Wow, yasabiranga.
The Globe Theatre is a 5-10 minute walk off to the right hand side. Sometimes it depends how many pedestrians there are, because that area to your right is home to a very famous market called Borough Market. That market has closed for the day, so that area is quite quiet. If you were here at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you'd have to add at least 5-10 more minutes to get through that area to your right hand side. It's extremely popular, the market.
Shakespeare. Wow.
Really the most popular food market. They tried to make it popular Waterloo as well, similar markets throughout London, but Borough Market is really the main food market in the centre of the capital, or as close to the centre as possible. Off to your left to the lovely Art Deco building, St. Olaf House. That's named after King Olaf, who famously pulled down London Bridge to save us from the Danish invasion. London Bridge, mainline station just ahead of us on our right. We have an additional stop located on this street, not on your maps. It's a new stop. It's about a year old, but they still haven't added it to the map.
Into London Bridge Station.
So it doesn't have a number. It's a stop without a number. Not like Harry Potter, 9 3/4. Yeah. This is stop 6.5, which we're going up to. It's not on your maps. It's for anyone who's staying in the very swanky hotel, which is called L'Elite. There's also the Hilton London Tower Bridge. There's also London Bridge mainline station. Some of you might be going back to Brighton, known as London by the Sea. Say it again. Oh, that's a local pub. A very popular pub when football season is on, because that's where one of the football clubs, not the players, but the supporters would go to before the game. It's quite a boisterous club. They're called Millwall. Okay? So they're a lively club. All clubs are lively, but some clubs are more lively than others. Yeah?
That's it.
Fulham would be the complete opposite of Millwall. Yeah? Fulham is a little bit quieter. Millwall was a very famous club because of the docks being here. A bit like West Ham Football Club as well. I don't want to talk too much about football though, yeah?
That is the best day.
Sure.
Football starts on
August
club
the 5th.
What is it called? Friendlies. I know Crystal Palace have been invited to that game against Nice, I think it is, or something. Yeah? When I say invited to work, yeah? We're not invited just to sip champagne. I wish it was. We are going to stop here. This is stop 6.5.
Oh.
So this is for the Shard, the tourist building in Western Europe. You see it a bit better as we be staying there in the hotel.
It's going to single.
The apartments are very high end, up to 100 million. Anyone for this stop 6.5. Our next stop is 7. Yeah. This is the only place where we have a bonus stop. Yeah. When we get to the City of London on the north side, that area is all about bonuses. Yeah. Lots of people work in the city, make good money, particularly on bonuses. There's lots of international banks. More Japanese banks you find in Tokyo. More German banks you find in Frankfurt. More different types of US banks than you find in Wall Street, New York. Just off to your left, you're passing this gorgeous hotel, which is called L'Elite. It's a former school associated with John Harvard of Harvard University. One thing I didn't say about the Shard is the tallest building in Western Europe, yeah? Over 1,000 feet in height. They are planning to open a taller building in Paris in time for the French Olympics next year. Yeah? The next year, Paris Olympics. When I say Paris, it's unfair because not everything takes place in Paris. It's like London. We call it the London Olympics. Not everything took place in London. Sailing did not take place in London. Sailing took place, I think, in Weymouth. And for France, the Paris Olympics, sailing takes place in Marseille. Yeah? Marseille and Paris are a long walk. Yeah? It's like, I would suggest, an 8-hour, maybe 6-hour train ride from Paris to Marseille. It would be a long, long walk. Yeah? But, you know, if they called it the Marseille and Paris Olympics, it wouldn't sound so good, yeah? You know, some people will be staying here in London and getting the Eurostar over to Paris. I'm not giving you advice. The Raven off to the right, the pub, the reference to the semi-wild birds, the Tower of London. The Tower of London on the north side of the river, the tidal Thames. You can see the huge tower, the White Tower, where the Acts of Parliament are kept. Oh, sorry, the White Tower, that's where the White Tower, off to your left-hand side, that was a home for our monarchy from the 10 to the 1600s. If you go up to the very top of the White Tower, you will see what's called a Windsor chair. The Windsor chair is a chair which a German spy was shot, yeah, firing squad during the Second World War. Over to your right, Canary Wharf, the second financial district. Just after the light, above your head, you've got a walkway of Tower Bridge. The bridge which opens about 600 times a year, initially 600 times a week, when London was the busiest port city in the world. Not every execution took place inside the Tower of London, although two of Henry VIII's wives were famously executed, Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard. Most of the executions took place in public, not private, because it was sort of like a piece of entertainment. Yeah, entertainment for the crowd, not for the person obviously being executed. Up to 30,000 people came to see these executions. That's 3 times the number of spectators that will be at Luton this coming season. The grassy area surrounding the Tower of London, originally a moat, introduced in the 1200s. That moat at one time was wider and deeper, but it was replaced under the authority of the Duke of Wellington. 21 towers inside the Tower of London in total. You get access into about 10 of those towers. The Garden Tower, renamed the Bloody Tower in the Victorian period of our history. Only in the Victorian period did they rename it the Bloody Tower, because it sort of like gave ideas of what would have. We're talking under 200 executions. They were the ones that they were the ones where up to 30,000 people come out to see the action. It would be a day's entertainment. Because sometimes it wasn't just one execution, it was 2 or 3 on the same day. By the way, if you have a free morning on Sundays, they have special services in the Tudor Church, which they play Tudor music. It's the only church in London where they play Tudor music. There are lots of associations with the Tower with the Tudor period. Although it dates back to the period of King William of Normandy, dating back to the 1000s, the buildings, the King's House, they are the only Tudor residential homes which have survived the Great Fire of 1666. Hess, by the way, was only imprisoned there for a few days. He was moved to Wales and then moved to other locations. Believe it or not, Elizabeth I was imprisoned by her half-sister as well, who became known as Bloody Mary. St. Magnus the Martyr, first church we rebuilt after the Great Fire, Pudding Lane, just on your right, that's where the Great Fire would have started, just immediately off to the side, turning to your right. So there's 2 churches, by the way, inside the Tower of London. Many people go on a beefy tour, see the crown jewels, but don't explore any other towers. To be fair, it's very hard to explore everything in the tower. I've been there 3 times in the last month alone. And you know, I still am going back later this week because you know it's useful for me when I'm guiding and so forth. Particularly, I've got groups who want to know more about the tower. It's going underneath this beautiful bridge, London Bridge. You may hear the beefeaters talk about the execution of Simon de Montfort. They famously, it's a bit gory, but they had to re-sew the head on because they forgot to take his portrait. His portrait is hanging up at the National Portrait Gallery. If you look at his face, as they say, he looks a little bit detached. Yeah. They had to put white collars to make it not see the actual fishing wire, which they sewed up. The royal surgeon. By the way, you may not realise, probably understandable, the Tower of London has his own doctor as well. Yeah? Off to the right, you are passing the church of St. Michael Paternoster Royal, and that's where Dick Whittington was buried, Lord Mayor of London. Famously said, the streets of London are paved with gold. Look to your left, that bridge, least used bridge, take you towards the south side of the river. That building where the crane is, that blue crane, that's where the Globe Theatre was located. It was burnt down in a fire in June 1613. It was rebuilt in 1614, but then it went into disrepair because of the Puritan period of our history. The Puritan period with Cromwell, Oliver Cromwell. Notice the church tower to your right, the rest of the church heavily destroyed during the Second World War. No money to repair the church. Going through the underpass, leading us onto the embankment, which means to close Portinara.
Nkwebaza okutambula nange nga tulambula London, ngezaako kubanga kisolo kwasi kye kisinga naye ngezaako kulaga abagamba nti Uganda esinga Bulaaya, wano nno tuli wansi musajja akulaga London Bridge naye ne muyita wansi bwe muti eno si flyover naye oluzungu nga nammwe muluwulira.
Over to your left, you're going to take modern, the former power station. To the left of that, the reconstructed globe dating back to the 1990s. Just going underneath Blackfriars Rail Bridge, then the Road Bridge.
Bridge ziri wano, waliwo Royal Bridge, London Bridge, Gundi Bridge.
Called the embankment, which means to close or to narrow. That's what happened during the 10, in 1800.
Nenga mwebale kulambula nange mpola mpola.
Right past the former City of London School, one of its most famous pupils was Daniel Radcliffe of Harry Potter. That beautiful building with a bump in the middle, that's a boomerang building, also known as the Kim Kardashian, just off to your left hand side.
Wow.
What a beautiful view of the south side. Some contrast though, some of the buildings you can see are just post World War II, not enough money to build anything that beautiful. In fact, King Charles, our current monarch, I'm sure most of you know he's our current monarch, doesn't like some of the architectural style on the south side. He calls it the concrete carbuncle. Very posh restaurant just off the left, that's the Oxo Tower. There just off to your left, that's Sandy Beach. Yeah, you can see people on the beach, believe it or not. It's there. Not many, but the odd one or two on the beach. I've seen up to 100 people on that beach, or students and so forth. You know the river is tidal, so you've got to be quite careful, yeah? You go goes off, otherwise you could be in the river. I'm not joking. It goes up or down by 22 feet on a daily basis. Those grounds off to the right feature moving Da Vinci Code, where you find the Knights Templar Church, the dragons to your left and right, marking the end of the city of London, beginning now of the city of Westminster. Anyone for this stop? Stop number 8. Yeah, okay. Underneath it, Henry VIII's wine cellar. On your right, you'll pass the New Scotland Yard. On your left, you've got a memorial dedicated to the Battle of Britain, World War II, and the spectacular Houses of Parliament ahead of us. This is our stop 9. Anyone for this stop? Yeah, at the museum. Last admission is 4:30.
It's a Big Ben.
We left the eye after 5 o'clock.
Big Ben. Batunyonyeremu akati. Parliament bulungi.
Okay, what's happening downstairs? Downing Street. Again, we're off towards Piccadilly. Just ensure you have a seat, the lady in the front. Yep, just ensure you have a seat. No pole dancing on this bus. Just off to your left, with a statue of Boudica or Boadicea. Boudica or Boadicea, the lady destroyed London in the early period of our history. And the reason why I'm so incentivize you to take a seat, because we get people from across the world, when they cross over the road, they're often looking in the wrong direction. It happens every day in London. Yeah? For those people from overseas, they're looking in the right direction. It's just we travel on a different side of the road. We're not the only country. There's over 70 countries who travel on the other side, but there's lots of the world who travel on a different side to us. Yeah? You know, one country completely changed it overnight. There were so many accidents. The next day, Stockholm, Sweden changed it overnight. Not recently, I think that's going back to the 1970s. It takes time for people to get used to. So Westminster Bridge off to your left. We'll be coming back across Westminster Bridge. Beautiful Houses of Parliament just off to your left-hand side. Westminster Abbey is further ahead. This is Westminster Hall, the building with a triangular rooftop. That's where the Queen's body was located last year on the, just after she passed away, obviously. She passed away on the 8th of September. And from the 15th to 19th, for a period of 5 days in total, her body was located inside Westminster Hall. 700,000 people came to see the Queen's body in total. Yeah? 700,000 people in total. Queues of up to 20 hours in length. Statues are ahead of us of key political figures who've shaped democracy over the centuries. That lady almost falling off there, joining us on this tour there. Now, we mustn't be going across Westminster Bridge this evening. We will do that later. We're going straight to stop 14. Anyone for 14 for the Red Lion Pub, just off to the right. Anyone for Westminster Abbey, directly ahead of us? No? Okay. Is anyone upstairs heading to any particular stop that I need to know of? We will stop at the Eye later on. 18, yeah, 18. Off to the right, got a lovely pub, the Red Lion. Featuring Dickens Nicholas Nickleby. Through the archway to your left, Churchill Museum, the underground cabinet war rooms. Got a cenotaph just off to the right, the Chief War Memorial. Look through those black gates to your left. Left, left, left. Can we slow down for him? It's Downing Street to your left, through those black gates, all the way to your far left. Downing Street, you have to be invited. I always say the best place to be on a tour is middle to the back.
Wow.
It's got its perks.
Downing Street.
Well, that's the way most people would go to Downing Street. It's not the only way, but that's the way most people go to Downing Street.
Okay.
This is our stop for Downing Street. If anyone is staying with the Prime Minister. It's our stop for Trafalgar Square as well. This is our stop 15. This is our stop for the National Gallery, National Portrait Gallery. Nearly every attraction has closed because it's 6 o'clock now. Not to 6 o'clock. It's a Sunday evening. Sunday, things close early. Look to your right. Look at that building on your right. See if you can spot above the door, the last door, the head of Charles I, executed to end the English Civil War. Just to your right, in a lovely pub, the Clarence. That's where Churchill would have regularly drank. On the right of it, Great Scotland Yard was where the first police force was located. Nelson's Column, ahead of us, guarded by the 4 lions, with a statue directly ahead of Charles I on horseback. Charles I is looking to where he was executed behind us. So just before the green rooftop, you have Whitehall Palace, which dates back 400 years. It dates back to 1622. I think we have about 6 stops before we get back to where we started, stop 1. So next stops on your maps should be 16, 17 and 18. 16, Piccadilly Circus, 17, the Ritz Hotel, 18, Hyde Park Corner. 18 is the interchange for the Orange Tour towards Harrods, Knightsbridge and South Kensington. Our final stop this evening is stop 1, then you can get Uber, taxis, tubes, local buses and so forth. We half Buckingham Palace, through the archway to your left hand side, sharp left. Yeah? You will take pictures later on, yeah, when you get closer to Buckingham Palace, but that's from a distance away.
Okay. So you're
Nelson's Column, the centerpiece of Trafalgar Square. For years and years, people used to come to the square to feed the pigeons. No longer, because you can be fined up to £500. And that pub on your left is the most central pub in the capital. That's in reference to Lord Horatio Nelson.
Oh.
I'm sure you have a seat, my friends. I don't want to lose your head on this tour. Seriously, there's trees above your head. I want you to be head and shoulders above the rest. Off to the right, the statue of George III, farmer, monarch, and scientist. You know it's painful when you get hit by a tree. It's happened to me once, only because I was answering a question. The tourist had, I popped up, took a seat, and all people did was laugh, yeah? They didn't offer me £50 notes or champagne. They just laughed at me being hit by a tree. Off to the right, that's Haymarket, home to the Phantom of the Opera. It's painful, believe me. That's right. Sometimes you've got people who are silly billies on the road. Off to your left, you've got a column, the Grand Old Duke of York, the statue of Edward VII, just off to your left as well.
A statue.
As we go up towards Piccadilly Circus, home to the world's first electrical advertising, you've got that beautiful green dome just ahead of us as well. Not yet, it's around the corner. It's going to be outside the largest bookstore in Europe, Waterstone.
I want to go Waterstone.
So the stoppage we're going to have up to in about a minute's time, 2 minutes maybe, is for Chinatown as well. Sharp left to left, that takes you into German Street, noted for its fine shirts and fine cheeses. For the largest sports shop in Europe just off to the right. There you've got the world's first electrical advertising statue of Eros on your right. As we turn left here onto Piccadilly. This is for anyone staying near Regent Street, which is just off to the immediate right, the side turning leading you onto Regent Street. This is our stop stop number 16. Fahid, you have 2 for the stop. Good. Palace. The first, Charles the second, Queen Anne, George the first, George the second, George the third, George the fourth, up to William IV. Queen Victoria is the one who opted for Buckingham Palace. And this is the Ritz. We're going to stop for the Ritz Hotel, just in case any of you have afternoon tea reservations as well. Some of you may do,